Hide and not probably the result you're expecting, was it?
No, I don't think anybody was expecting that, and but it's a real eye opener. I think I can take some responsibility, perhaps the change of manager, and maybe not sure about maybe what I'm looking for, maybe to make the lads hesitate a bit, but take some responsibility for the first goal because they're trying to play out from the back, and at the moment I don't think we look confident or equipped enough to do that. But there was a lot wrong today. There was a lack of energy. There was a lack of purpose about some stuff that we did. We had opportunities, but we never hit a target. We had opportunities to get behind them, cross, we didn't. We never really asked a lot of questions. And then when he asked anything of us, we were found. So a lot of work. And what I have to do as a manager is narrow it down to, if you like, Brito's principle, 20% that will have the 8% effect, because you're working with players for 2 hours a week, maybe 1 hour of coaching a week, and I've got to work really hard and smart over the next couple of weeks to see a change. We need to get fitter, we need to get better organised, we need to be better in both boxes, and there's a lot of work to be done, and it starts now.
Is it a confidence issue, do you think, some of it, especially defensively, or is it just mistakes and players not learning from the mistakes?
Well, I've asked them in there to give me a list of all the things that were wrong, and they identify certain things, but they don't really identify. Not one of them wrote down stopping and defending crosses where we conceded 5 goals. So if they don't recognise what's wrong with the team themselves, then they can never really change it. And I think that out there there's a couple of vocal players and a couple of players who've got the knowledge, but I don't think that they organise, coach themselves, demand enough from each other. I never hear constant shouts to stop the cross, send them back, squeeze. I don't hear that. I don't know whether that's because they're a quiet group or they lost energy and lost confidence. I gave them a little bit second half, we come out, we scored a goal, but then 3 crosses, 3 goals, and we look very, very vulnerable at the moment. And I think if there's some issues to do with the transition, fine, but we need to stop making excuses now and work really hard, understand our roles, and start playing, making sure that we're more effective on the pitch than we are. Because it's not about being pretty, it's not about being good footballers, it's about making sure you don't concede goals and you know how to hurt the opposition.
So it's often Nantwich Tuesday, obviously you've not got a training session in that time. What do you do to kind of rectify what's happened today?
There's not much you can do. You can have a little chat with certain players, you have opportunities. There's a saying in football, and I think sometimes it can be glib, but it's very thing. You either win or you learn, and it hurts. But I got to that point quite quickly where, rather than be angry, rather than being frustrated, I become quite philosophical about where we're at. I think perhaps the lift from the players in the Grantham game, the FC game, was probably from a sense of like, the manager's gone now, we've lost 3 games, we need to take some responsibility. And I just hope the players now, after today's result, take some responsibility. There's 1,000 excuses, to travel, the new manager. And I think that we have to have a stronger mentality than that and say, all we can do is be the best we can be and see how far that takes us. But I'm sure that there's not a player in there, apart from 1 or 2, who can say, I gave a really good account myself, and that's as good as, I'm a good player and I showed what I'm about.
One of those we thought was Cam Fogarty. I know you just agreed with the man of the match they gave in there for the sponsor, but he's only 17, and I know obviously he's got things to work on, but some of the discipline he shows is really good, isn't it?
In terms of his role, he ticks a lot of boxes. He's got bits to learn, but like you said, even players are a lot older than him have got things to learn. But he's all round. For me, he looks like the player that, if we had trackers, I reckon that he's had probably the most coverage. He's probably had the most contacts on the ball. He's got involved. He's probably won the ball back the most. And I think it's an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old shouldn't be a role model for the other players around him, but he certainly has got something to add to the team. And I said he was a bright spot today. There was other players who showed moments of what they can do, but we need to. He was not just his quality. I think it's about the consistency of your performance. And the great thing about him is that sometimes, whether they're youth players or senior players, I think mentality counts in games like this, because when you go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down, it's whether you can maintain your confidence and your purpose. And I think he certainly did. He never from the first minute to the last minute, the result, what was happening and what was going on around him didn't affect what he did. That mentality is huge, not just for our team, but also for his future prospects of playing at a high level.
Like you said, consistency, not just game by game, but actually in game as well at times, isn't it, from players, is what you'll be looking for now.
Yeah, but if you think about the role of a four, for example, you want him to be a presence in terms of winning the ball back, protecting the back four, tracking runners, being in a position where we're always connecting back to front or side to side, and he was perfect at that. And he was a role model for other players who weren't doing those aspects. But
that's what I mean in terms of the team as well. The team needs to do that, don't they?
I have to be. I was really disappointed with some players who looked unfit, lacked energy, lacked purpose, and I think that you can't afford to have 2 or 3 players. And then, unfortunately, if a couple of other players then lose energy and confidence from either the result or the fact that they've not got a high level of fitness. So, one of the massive things that I took out of this game and all the games I watched is about the fitness, the intensity and the presence, and I think that this is no criticism of the previous manager. This might be the fact of the players' athleticism and their own strength, but I think in terms of the physical outputs on the pitch, I've been disappointed. I'm used to working with people who are far more athletic, far more purposeful, far more intense, come off exhausted because they've been able to input for 95, 96 minutes. And that, like I said, the danger is that some of them can't, they fade, they get injured. So I've got to balance the growth in fitness and athleticism with not too stretching them too hard that they break down. Because we had a couple of players today that we had to be careful about. Harry Ben's put a great cross in, didn't want to come off, but he's feeling something. So that's where I think that the exertion for some of them has been quite demanding, but that's where the strength and fitness, the strength and conditioning is going to be really important, because these players have to be able to maintain a good level of physical output on a Saturday, Saturday, over and over again. Or if they can't, we have to manage them so that they're at least at peak performance occasionally.
Final question, and on to Nantwich Tuesday. Say quick turnaround. The away form's not been as good as the home form, so it's just a case of going there and trying to be more organised, I suppose, isn't it? Defensively more than anything.
Well, from the players' perspective, I think that we need them to have a look and think about the reaction, and that's the mentality, the intensity, the performance. They've got to look after themselves and mentally recover in time for Tuesday. I've got to have a look at something, but I've got to work with the squad I've got, and I don't want to make hasty decisions about players' ability to do a job, and I think that I've got to be carefully manage and ask a little bit more from certain players, ask them to understand their roles or recognise their roles and do it, and then if I can get more out of them, great. If they can get more out of themselves, brilliant. But if not, then we might need to see. We need to work hard on the training ground. We need to work hard on the fitness to get there. But like I said, I'm giving them every opportunity in terms of saying to me that I've got a part to play in the future of this club, and some of them have taken a step back from what I've seen in previous games, and now we need to step up.
Real. Cheers, Jim.
You're welcome.
Thanks.